All right, guys, welcome into another March Madness update. I've got some different analytics to look at that I think offer a good breakdown on the overall brackets. Yes, I am still sick. I just took a huge pill, a Mucinex pill. It did nothing, and I am dealing with severe congestion, but in my last hours, I did want to make this video. So, this first thing I wanted to talk about, apparently there's a site and you can simulate the brackets. And I was doing this last night to kind of get different results. But it is interesting if you look at the simulations, Gonzaga, Tennessee, with Gonzaga winning the national championship. I don't know, I just thought it was something that people might be interested in, especially when the bracket actually comes out. You can simulate it as many times as you want. The one annoyance I'll say with something like this is the lack of logos. I mean, we would like to see the logo so it would be easier to identify these teams, but just something funny. And if anyone actually simulates this enough to get a 16 seed to beat a 1 seed, screenshot it or something, because I could not do it. I wanted to try and get like a 16 seed to the Sweet 16, but I'm guessing the overall, analytical algorithm basically makes it impossible for a 16 seed to beat a 1 seed because it's only happened once out of I don't know how many times. It probably gives it like a 0.001% chance to happen. Imagine you simulate it and a 16 seed wins the title. Texas A&M Corpus Christi wins the title. But there's just some different ones to look at there just for fun. And then on the exact same site, we have more analytical rankings. And seriously. So don't get me wrong. I like college basketball a lot. But it is so crazy how many more analytical ranking sites there are for college basketball than college football when, let's be honest, college football is more popular than college basketball. Am I just not finding them? Every day I find a new, super in-depth, analytical college basketball ranking site. And for college football, I just can't find, I find like 2 or 3. It's like I'm forced to use ESPN FPI every single day for college football analytics. But this one is pretty crazy. It has Gonzaga at number 4. And how about Houston? The number 2 overall offense and the number 2 overall defense. And then it also has the tempo rank. Look at how slow Houston is. And again, the trend continues with the analytics loving Tennessee. They're number 2 overall in front of Alabama, the number 1 defense in the country. Gonzaga up to 4 in front of UCLA. Purdue, UConn again loved by the analytics. Kansas and St. Mary's with Arizona rounding out the top 10. And again, it also is interesting to look at the tempo ranking. Alabama, the number 1 tempo. That means they play really fast-paced. Arizona at number 4. And then you have teams like Purdue who are really slow because their best player, is a big center. But I just think those overall rankings are interesting to look at. And then this is another thing that I think is really good for going into the tournament. So this is the overall change within the past 10 days of the top 25. You can kind of see some of the teams playing better, like Kentucky. They've got an overall change of a positive 1.4. Arkansas, positive 1.4. Auburn playing badly recently. And then Virginia getting crushed recently, minus almost 2 full BPR, which is their overall analytical metric they use to grade these teams. Virginia really struggling. So this is just kind of something that's a good tool to look at when it comes to filling out your bracket, looking at the past 10-day change especially, because I like knowing how good teams are playing going into the actual tournament. And that's a good thing to look at. I mean, a lot of the changes are very minimal, like Houston, Tennessee, Bama, Gonzaga, Purdue, they're all very minimal, but, some of them are bigger, and that's when it gets interesting. And then these are the top players in college basketball right now when it comes to this analytical ranking. Zach Edey, the massive center for Purdue. No surprising, I'm sure, he'll win National Player of the Year. But you can kind of see some different players there. That's just another interesting thing to look at when it comes to maybe, especially when the tournament, we're looking for elite guard play, especially from a team. Like if there's a team that's a 7 or an 8 seed and they have an elite point guard, it's a very attractive team to pick to make it to like the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8, because especially the point guard can carry a college team in March Madness and can have bigger games. So it's something to look at when it comes to the overall guard play. We've got this Hunter Dickinson stepping on a Wisconsin player. I thought Hunter Dickinson was supposed to be a one and done. Hasn't he been at Michigan like 7 years now? But apparently he stepped on a Wisconsin player. Michigan won this game. They went to overtime on the Hunter Dickinson crazy three-pointer on Sunday. And right now they are completely on the bubble. So that was interesting there. We've got a shocker. Or actually, you know what? This really wasn't that crazy of a shock. Wyoming beating Nevada. Wyoming is 9-20, but Wyoming is such a weird team. They were supposed to really contend in the Mountain West. There's a lot of analytical sites that I followed before the season that had Wyoming winning the Mountain West, and they just had a terrible year. But they were only 5.5-point underdogs entering this game, and this is a crushing loss for Nevada, and it's knocking them to almost becoming on the bubble. If you take a look at the recent bubble updates, they are now in the last 4 byes entering today. You've got Memphis, West Virginia, Nevada, and Auburn. I believe West Virginia played last night and beat Iowa State. That's a big win for West Virginia last night. Big, big, big win over Iowa State. North Carolina beat FSU. That's not surprising. FSU is not a good team. Or you know what? FSU has kind of turned their season around a little bit. At least they're respectable. Baylor beat Oklahoma State. Baylor continues to look like a possible 2 or 3 seed. Yeah, West Virginia beat Iowa State. That's a big win. They won by 3 points on the road. That is hard to do. And then you do have Auburn as another team comfortably in the field right now as a last 4 bye. Looking at the last 4 in, Mississippi State, Boise State, Wisconsin, Arizona State. Boy, Arizona State basically saved their season on that half-court shot against Arizona. That is crazy, because that's a huge win now on the road at Arizona, who will probably be a top 2 seed. And then the first 4 out, North Carolina. I mean, they beat FSU, but that's not going to be a resume builder at all. Oklahoma State, that would have been a huge win over Baylor. Their record is really starting to become a problem. I think they're only 3 games above 500. Clemson, I mean, they play in the ACC. That's a problem. And then Michigan as well. Michigan, the Big Ten is such a log jam right now. If you look up the Big Ten standings, I mean, Michigan could win the Big Ten and they're still on the outside looking in because it's just been such a log jam. And then the next 4 out, Utah State, Charleston. Charleston's going to need to win their conference and get the auto bid. Penn State, I know Penn State has a really elite point guard, but Penn State, losing to Rutgers the way they did, it's a crippling loss. I think they lost on Sunday. And then Texas Tech as the next 4 out. And then this is some Ken Palm analytical data on, this is the Patriot League, I think, the overall chances. Yeah, we really expect Colgate to win this auto bid again for, I think, a 4th straight year. It's got them at 58% chance, Navy at 24% chance, Army, and then Lehigh. But yeah, Colgate very expected to get another bid there. And then this is what I talked about yesterday. The analytics love Marshall, who's actually a 3 seed in this conference tournament. But Marshall, as the 3 seed, the favorite, around a 30% chance to get the auto bid. Louisiana, the 2 seed, at 18% chance. The 1 seed, which is Southern Miss, at a 17% chance. The main reason is because Southern Miss won a lot of close games. You know, winning close games does involve luck. Marshall, more dominant. They are kind of thought of as the better team there. And then we do have a few more conference tournament brackets that are trickling in. You've got Eastern Washington here in the Big Sky Conference as the number 1 seed. What is my prediction on this? I think Montana State is going to win this tournament and get the auto bid as the 2 seed. So, we'll have to see what happens. I know a lot of people think Eastern Washington, they're showing up in every bracket. They've been the best team out of the Big Sky. But there are a lot of analytics that like Montana State, or it's like a toss-up. And then this is the Missouri Valley. How about Bradley, a 1 seed over Drake? I think Drake wins this tournament as the 2 seed, but I can understand, I would be fine with Bradley winning it. They beat Drake in the last game of the season pretty handily at home, and they were the favorites, so it's kind of just a toss-up. Any other team, I know Belmont has had really good years in the past, but this year they're a little down. Southern Illinois is a really weak 3 seed. But those are just kind of the updates when it comes to those tournaments. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.